All right, we're back, Nick. Back in the old traditional studios, which is pretty much our basement, let's be honest. Not a whole lot fancy about any of this. Maybe a little bit. The Redlegs are trying to find some runs. They've not found one in quite some time. See if Fernando Cruz cannot finish his job here in the top of the ninth, and we might get some fireworks going off in the bottom. As always, Nick, it's good to see you, but I do want to remind the chat here before we get into this that we need likes, and we need them fast.
Definitely need some likes, folks. No question about it. All right.
Come on, guys. Let's do it, Nick. Let's do it. Wouldn't that be that would be very fitting for the second half of the season to start off with a 2-run bomb by somebody. Not going to be picky. Not going to be picky. Not going to be picky.
Where we at? Fraley?
Yeah.
Fraley, Ellie. Who is fifth? India. Ooh,
yeah, I like. Yeah.
Ooh, I like. Didn't a second baseman? Did he? Wasn't that the first game after the All-Star break? 2011.
You're gonna be.
He did. Reds win. Reds win.
Well, Brandon Phillips. All right, guys. I listen. I've been down for 8 innings. I've been down. I've been beat. The sun got to me today. I was a little worn out to begin this game. I was fighting. Just fighting myself trying to get off the couch. But I got up. Here I am. Lookout's hat came in the mail, like in the 3rd inning. What about that?
What kind of deliveries you getting out in Hamilton?
I don't know. I mean, whatever. Maybe it was just on the porch. My wife brought it in the 3rd inning. That's a possibility. Or it came earlier in the day and I didn't know. But I like to think that they dropped it off in the 3rd inning. So that's what I'm going to stick with.
All right.
All right, David. All right, I'm going to have to the chat. I know that I can't watch the chat because you guys inevitably are way ahead of me. So I'm going to put you away for a minute. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Brewers, man, they got a good bullpen.
Devin Williams,
good.
he's allowed runs in 3 of his 34 games. So
yeah, no,
when he's bad, he's bad. Hopefully, it's one of those very few bad days.
Is it okay to hope that Fraley gets hit in the foot? Doesn't get hurt, of course.
Devin Williams walks a lot of guys, so I mean, you gotta be patient here. I think he's walking over 4 batters per 9.
What are we doing here? We got a streaker on the field? Oh, just a baseball. No big deal. Man, the Brewers have had our number, man. Time to figure this out.
He throws the first pitch right down the pipe.
Nothing like
Thanks, Devin.
Nothing like a get me over 90 mile an hour.
Yeah, there you go. Williams chose not to pitch in the All-Star game.
What a loser. Not a team guy.
Williams.
You know, you should want to pitch for your league. That's a ball. Oh, man. Somebody's got to break the seal, Nick. Like this, we've not had that many good at bats. We've not threatened in this game. It felt like this is one of those few games where you don't score runs and you really don't look back and you don't feel like you had many chances either.
There we go.
Boy, I tell you what, this is stealing a win if we take one here. Absolutely just a thief. Calls that a strike anyways, right?
Yeah, I don't know. And that at bat to India, the pitch was 6 inches off the plate, and then the next inning, Winker had the tightest strike zone of the game. I don't know what's going on behind the plate. Come on, Jake.
Ow! It's a good pitch, though. I mean, it doesn't look like a ball until it's too late.
It's nasty, but he'll walk you if you let him. But easier said.
Easier said than done. Yeah, that's what it takes, though. It takes somebody to have an elite at bat, and we've not really had that. McLean had one earlier in the game, but we've just not had many of those.
Well, somehow for Ellie just to get on base and
steal some bags.
We haven't really seen Ellie get on base in a real like late game situation. I can't think of one. So.
Right. Yeah. They know he's stealing regardless, but. My God, that lady's got. No, it's right at him.
Probably the hardest hit ball of the night for the Reds.
Yeah. Damn.
Beloved John. John was taking a break from Twitter.
Oh, man.
Good take.
Yeah. Man. Votto's practice swings are just funny. Just objectively funny. They are. I know he's doing the old Hitman. I don't know if you know the Hitman. You know the Hitman? You seen the Hitman videos? Aaron Judge's hitting coach?
I don't think so. Former hitting coach or Sean Casey?
No. He's Aaron Judge's like legit personal.
Oh, the personal, the drive line or whatever. Yeah.
It's not drive line. It's Hitman.
Whatever.
We'll keep it moving. Yeah. That's not a strike. Okay. Glad we're on the same page.
That was a strike to India earlier in the game. That exact pitch.
I know it was. It's a big league move by India right there. I like that.
Yeah. Come on, you took an hour earlier today, guys. Craig, sit down.
Can Jonathan get lucky one time and just get into a ball? That'd be nice. No? Okay. Give us a chance to win it.
Yeah.
Nice hat by that guy, by the way. Not the cowboy hat, the other hat. I like that. Let's do a show.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the line, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Reds win! Line to the right field. Genius, the first run ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air down the right field line. Does it have a chance? The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first. And Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed the no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, Nick, we're back in the lab. It is not the most pleasant of evenings, largely because the Cincinnati Reds get blanked again. They lose 1-0 to the Milwaukee Brewers. This would be the second straight shutout in a row, and we're getting close, if we're not already there, to start counting the innings that the Reds have not scored. Hopefully, we can change that early tomorrow. But, Nick, good to see you, man. It really genuinely is good to see you. I was off for a long time, and I'm glad to be back, brother.
Yeah, good to be back with you. Good to have baseball back. Obviously, not the night we wanted. Kind of felt like a game where the Reds were kind of playing with house money with Ashcraft against Burns. Feels a lot worse because obviously how well Ashcraft pitched, but get him tomorrow. I guess that's kind of, where do you go from here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if I can try to be a source of optimism right now for many of the people that might be down, and I know that there are a few, I can tell by the chat. It's it's a long season. We're tied atop. It doesn't make it to where this is it's not an excuse. It's not a reason to not be a little disappointed in the fact that you have probably what I would say the most disappointing thing is here before we get into the box score recap for me, Nick, is that for folks that have screamed and yelled for quite some time about our biggest, our only, and our biggest issue, be careful when you say your only issue or your biggest issue. Because I hearken back to the beginning of the season when I say we, maybe not we as in all of us, but some of us were screaming and yelling from the mountaintops and telling us that the bullpen was the only thing that was going to stop this team from being able to win the World Series. Now, I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek there, but be careful when you scream and yell about the only thing that this team needs is X. And maybe the biggest disappointment is that we've been, and I say we as a collective fan base, have been yelling and screaming about getting some starting pitching help, and we've gotten that on back-to-back games, and we've not shown anything for it. And that's probably the biggest disappointment, is that you finally get production out of your frontline starter, and really not just the starter, but the bullpen as well. You lose 2 games in a row where you only give up 1 run. I'm not saying that's a record. I'm sure it's been done plenty of times in Major League Baseball before, but you'd like to think you'd at least get 1 win, Nick.
Yeah. What else do you say, man? Just not the night,
Yeah, it's like the glass half full, half empty approach. I don't always want to be this fake optimist. Am I down right now? Yeah, I'm down. Does this suck? Yeah, it sucks. Is it one of those things where I can like try to be the optimist and be like relatively rational right now and say, hey, what I just said was the one thing that we were complaining about and the one thing that we were hoping we were going to get, we're starting to get. So which way do you want it? I'm not saying you can't have it both ways because sometimes you can. But Graham Ashcraft looked great tonight. So if we want to be optimists, he's in the rundown, then maybe that's where we start. But as usual, we have a box score recap. The box score recap it's going to be a little bland on the Reds side. Go ahead and give it to him, Nick.
All right, first game of the Second half for your Cincinnati Reds, Graham Ashcraft and Corbin Burns were locked in a pitcher's duel. It was a scoreless game through 6 innings. The only real action earlier in the game was a assist by left fielder Spencer Steer. He threw out a runner at the plate to end the 3rd inning, and then there was a lengthy delay in the 5th inning when Corbin Burns appeared dehydrated. Graham Ashcraft finally got into some trouble in the top of the 7th. Reds killer Willie Adames hit a leadoff double, and then a single from Owen Miller put runners on the corners. Despite being at just 74 pitches, David Bell went to Lucas Sims to obviously try to get a strikeout with no one out in 1st and 3rd. Victor Carantini hit a weak single over the head of McLean to make it 1-0 Brewers. Lucas Sims then struck out the next 2 batters. He walked Winker on a really brutal strike zone, but then he got a pop out to end the threat with the Reds down just 1-0. But the Reds just couldn't get any offense going. Reds finished with just 2 hits on the day, no extra base hits. Corbin Burns' final line for the Brewers, 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 13 strikeouts. Reds fall 1-0. Reds and Brewers now tied atop the National League Central Division.
Yeah. And also, big news for this show. Bum, 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 bum. We were going to have something called the Deep D-Fly, but we didn't know there weren't going to be a Deep Fly. And the fact that it's a new sponsor on this show, I wasn't going to just gloss over it like, oh, we shouldn't do it. We're going to do it. If there's not a Deep Fly, well, I don't know. We'll make something up. But DSC, Deep South Commodities, folks. John, big thank you to John. He's a fan of the show. Just wanted to help us out. He openly said, you know what? I don't know if this is going to help my business. Probably won't help my business. But you know what? I love this show, and we love you, John. We love you. So, Deep Drive of the Day is sponsored by Deep South Commodities, and nobody hit a deep drive, so there's that. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuels production, specializing in used cooking oil collections, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And again, thank you to our friends at Deep South Commodities. Nick, hopefully we can get a deep fly tomorrow, and we can figure that out. I don't know. That's here nor there. But not a whole lot going on there in the box score recap, though, is there? Not much there.
Not a lot. Oh, big nothing burger.
Are you okay, Nick? I gotta check on you. All right? Are you stressed out? Where are you at? I mean, you got a little too many moving parts. You're finally back. You're back in the office with you got the new. I'm not saying the new setup. You got the old school setup, like the OG setup. So you're just trying to get right back in the rhythm of things. Where are we at, Nick? How you feeling, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back in the groove here. This is a much more intense operation than what was going on last week, where it's just a couple clicks and you're in, man. I gotta get back in the grind, and then I'm heading to Cincinnati tomorrow, and I'll mess everything back up. So
nah, you're good.
I was try to be on our game for our one normal show this weekend, and yeah, we're off to a roaring start.
I mean, come on. The show's ripping right now. All right, let's get into it. I got some good things to talk about. Listen, I know it was a boring game. It was a tough game. It was brutal, but there's some stuff to get into. Graham Ashcraft, we'll get into him really quickly. Hey, you throw strikes, Nick, especially against this Brewers lineup. I don't want to say good things are automatically going to happen, because Andrew Abbott was probably one that would argue that point. But for the most part, you throw quality pitches against this team, you're going to get outs. I mean, they're not – the Brewers' offense, knock on wood here, really isn't all that to be worried about.
Yeah, I mean, he only gave up 6 hard hit balls the whole game. Super pitch efficient, only 74 pitches. The only reason he came out of the game was just because it was kind of a situation where he needed a strikeout. He wasn't really getting any strikeouts on the game, so I thought it was the right decision by Bell. But yeah, I mean, Graham Ashcraft, man, he has completely turned his season around. That's 3 really good starts in a row from him, dating back to that Padres game where the Reds won that game in extra innings. We'll get to the offense here in a second, but the offense is obviously not the big concern of this team. You're going to have stuff like this. Graham Ashcraft was a serious concern for this team, and he stepped up and he's pitched really, really well. Is Graham Ashcraft this good? No. Was Graham Ashcraft as bad as he was before? No. He's probably somewhere in the middle. And
Right.
It's kind of just been this up and down season. You kind of hope with Ashcraft is just a little bit more consistent the rest of the way. But this was definitely, for the news today that Green early August, Lodolo probably a little bit behind that. You really, really need your Graham Ashcraft, your Andrew Rabbit, and some of the other guys, Brandon Williamson, Ben Lively, Dreamweaver. You need these guys to really step up over at least the next couple of weeks till the trade deadline, and Ashcraft did that tonight.
Yeah, tomorrow is a big day. Not to get off of Graham too quickly, but my final thoughts on Graham are that, as you just said, I don't expect him to be this good. Clearly, that's next to impossible. However, I always just keep harping back to, if we're able to stay right around 500 until we get ourselves in a position where Lodolo and Green come back, it gives us a chance. It gives us a fighting chance. We have to defend and stay against skids, and you've said this already that earlier this year. It's more about streaks at this point. Winning streaks, yes, are great, but if we're able to stay away from a prolonged losing streak, it really boosts up in it, and it really raises up that long winning streak we had earlier this year. So we'll see. Tomorrow's a big day. It feels like a big momentum day. You know what tomorrow feels like? And I know this is harping back pretty far back in the season, and I couldn't even pinpoint the day. But do you remember where we were starting to kind of slide a little bit, and we went to St. Louis, and I think it was a Saturday. It was a second game in St. Louis, and I don't know, was that the start of the winning streak? But
yeah,
was it really? Yeah, but it felt like if they were to lose that game in St. Louis on that Saturday, it's like, okay, the wheels are starting to fall off here, and obviously that's definitely not what happened. I'm not suggesting the Reds win tomorrow and win 12 in a row, but it does feel like that. It feels like tomorrow, and again, Andrew Abbott's going to get the baseball with a pretty big opportunity on his hands. So, any other final thoughts on Ashcraft before we get into maybe the offense and the struggles and if we're concerned or not concerned?
Well, I don't know. Did you kind of feel like the Reds, when they set up this pitching matchup this weekend, kind of said, hey, let's throw Ashcraft against Burns, kind of playing with house money, just kind of the way they set it up? That's kind of how I felt they were probably approaching this. And obviously Ashcraft, probably outpitched any of their realistic expectations. So,
sure. I do. I do think they did that. Sometimes, like in college baseball, especially, you throw your best starters on Friday night, and then you second best starter on Saturday, and then Sunday you got your third guy. And there are times where guys, and I say coaching staffs make decisions on a big weekend where they know they need to at least get one of the three. They'll throw their Friday night game or Friday night guy on a Saturday, and I think that's kind of what it. I don't think the Reds would ever admit that, but I do think that's what they did. So it's a big day tomorrow. I'm slightly concerned about the offense, largely not because of the fact that they got shut out. It was just the way they looked. And sometimes maybe, Nick, I can be slightly convinced that it was because of Burns. I can be slightly convinced that the bullpen that the Brewers run out there is pretty damn good. I mean, I'm not downplaying. Those guys have good stuff. It's just the way that it looked almost. It was more or less like the quality at bats were absolutely disgusting. They just were. And I mean, you strike out how many? 16 times? Is that how many times they struck out?
Only 13.
13? I thought it was more than 13.
Oh, no, total. That Burns at 13. Oh, no, the Reds.
18?
Reds total was oh boy, we got some math. 18.
18 strikeouts, Nick. I mean, you can't strike out 18 times in a game. That just
Kerry Wood stuff.
Yeah. Maybe it's just we chalk it up. Here's why it feels really bad. I'm not hitting the panic button, Nick, but it really feels disgusting when you're off the back of a game you got shut out on right before it. We'll see. 18 is just gross. That's
I will say though,
so bad.
I will say though, the last game, the Reds I thought had a lot better at bats in that last game. I thought they had a lot of hard hit balls. This was not that tonight. This was just complete and utter domination by the Brewers. Last game I don't think was necessarily the domination, just kind of one of those it wasn't your day type things. But yeah, when they're back to back like this, you're gonna have that. I'm very confident in this lineup. Man, 1 through 9. I think a lot of it, you just got Corbin Burns at the wrong time. He struggled early in the year.
Right.
Corbin Burns isn't going to be that bad. He was due to bounce back, and man, it's unfortunate. Reds got the Brewers in these back-to-back series where they can manipulate and pitch Burns, twice against you. But the next two matchups are much more favorable for the Reds. So I would say let's at least get to the end of the weekend before we're hitting the panic button. But
yeah,
man,
well,
Brewers pitching, Brewers pitching nasty. One stat for you on the Brewers. They came into this game today 35-1 when leading entering the eighth inning, and they're so. I mean, you get late in the game, you're not going to beat the Brewers. I mean, that's just that's their strength. Where the Red strength is hitting in a deep lineup, the Brewers' strength is the pitching. The pitching won out today.
Yeah. Steve mentioned the rookies need to make adjustments immediately to avoid a bad streak. That's my fear. I don't think that should be a fear, Steve. Largely because I think one of the better at-bats of the game was Matt McLean. Will Benson was one of the, I think, only two guys that got a hit. You got Ellie. I mean, yeah, he looked clueless at the plate at times. I'm not saying he didn't, but Ellie struck a ball pretty well there in the ninth inning.
103.4 off of Devin Williams is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, and again, sometimes the exit velos and things like that, they can get mesmerizing, and you can kind of like, oh, what a big, but 103 is not 95, So I'm just not there yet. I'm not. And in fact, I don't even think I'll be there for a while. So it's a long season. If anything, again, if you want to concern yourself over much at this point, it's a matter of, are we going to go into a situation where it becomes contagious? That's my bigger fear. It's not so much, Nick, that our guys don't have the right approach. It's that this game's played on a field with real people and humans. There's emotion that comes with it. Just as we enjoyed the winning streak, right? As much as that was contagious, and it felt like every single time someone else come up, they were going to pick the next guy up. These last two games, and again, this is an incredibly small sample size, so I keep saying that because I'm not overly concerned, but it can become contagious. Tonight felt contagious. Tonight felt like, again, the poor analogy of the day, like I always do on this show, it felt like a three-point shooting team, Nick, that in the first half of a college basketball game, their first 7 or 8 shots didn't go in, and it just nobody could kind of get the other guys going, and it just snowballed, and it turned into just what you would call a bad night. So hopefully tomorrow's a new day. I know people are going to kill me for saying this, and I'm not suggesting that I want this, but you win one game in this series, you can keep it moving, and it's not a big deal.
You're still tied for first place if you win one game in this series. So, yeah. And I'll bring up again, Reds in 2010 went 6-12 against the Cardinals. I mean, yeah, some years you just play bad against certain teams.
We're gonna bring this up. It looks like it's on the rundown. We're gonna talk about this, huh?
I don't know. I was running out of stuff. What else do you talk about in game?
No, I like it. I like it. I like it. What are you supposed to do, though, for those that didn't watch the game or for those that are listening to this on the podcast in the morning? Corbin Burns had a little bit of what I'll call a weird situation. It looked like a scary situation at the beginning. He kind of went to toe the rubber, stepped off the mound, walked back a few steps off the mound, and then took a knee, and it kind of looked like he was having some health issues. Kind of everybody rushed in. The trainer comes out. He's kind of doing some, for the best way I can explain it, he looked like he was doing a sobriety test right outside the mound there, following people's fingers and trying to make sure. I don't know. Maybe it'll come out tomorrow. It looked like he had some hydration issues. He had some overheating issues. And the question that comes to mind now that we know that he's healthy, of course, is his health is of first importance, Nick. But the question is, how long do you get?
It feels like one of those situations, like if that was your guy, you're like, he gets as long as he needs. If it's not your guy, you're like, get him out of here. I know. Your natural reaction.
It didn't help that he was shoving. It didn't help that he was striking all of our guys out either. It was kind of like, oh, he should get out of there. He's got to go.
I can't remember a situation like that where there was that kind of delay and the pitcher stayed in the game. I don't. I mean, I know there's been like some blister things, but they're never that long of a delay. Usually, you're able to figure out, is he going to stay in or is he not? So I don't know. I don't even know what the full procedure is on that. I mean, I guess they have to, give them as much time as they need. But it was it's definitely a weird situation. I was just bracing for Graham Ashcraft that next inning after sitting to get a run. And to his credit, he came out. I think he got a double play in the next inning, but did put up a 0. It was the next inning that he allowed the run. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of like, oh man, poor Ashcraft. He's sitting there, he was on such a roll, and but he threw up a 0. So I guess it really didn't matter much, I don't think, to the game. But it was definitely a bizarre situation.
I felt more concerned for Ashcraft in that situation than any Reds hitters or anything like that, right? If it just felt like, okay, this guy, not only did he have to wait forever in the dugout, but then on top of that, he didn't get any run support. It's one thing to have to wait in the dugout and you're watching your team and they're just got a merry-go-round going out there in the field for you. It's like, oh, we got a 7-run lead. I think I'm happy to sit in here as long as you guys need. No, that wasn't the situation. So, but as you mentioned, Ashcraft came back out, threw up a 0, so maybe it didn't affect him as much as me and you perhaps were worried about. I don't know. I think that there needs to be a little bit of a time limit, though. I'm not trying to suggest that I'm not concerned about the guy's health or anything like that, but if you're gonna have to go 6, 7, 8 minutes, Nick, and try to figure out if you're healthy enough or okay enough to pitch, it's almost kind of like if you have to ask somebody that, do you think I'm too drunk to drive? Well, you're probably too drunk to drive. Just give your keys away, just saying. If you're out there that long, probably shouldn't pitch anymore. Let's just take him off the field. Now, he proved me wrong because he went out there and started striking everybody out again, and hopefully he's okay, but it's here nor there. So
I think he's all right.
Yeah,
he looked
fine
good when he came back out there.
Yeah, he looked fine.
Found a way.
This isn't so. I don't like sensationalism. I hate hot takes. I don't like the idea of just trying to bring up things just to stir the pot. This isn't what this is about, but it is something to ponder. The Reds in general have been fortunate at times this year to miss the big studs, the stars of the game from a pitching staff standpoint. They really have. We didn't face Strider once that I can remember. We maybe earlier this year. I could be completely off base there, but the games are mixing up. And again, there's a multitude of other guys. But my main point is that the pitching that we've seen tonight, and I'm not suggesting that Burns isn't great. Burns is great. I'm not suggesting he's not great. But that's the type of arm, those are the types of arms that you're going to see in high-leverage games. So when everyone wants to, how do I not make this a big deal? When everyone wants to bang on the drum and scream and yell and say, well, you don't know what's our time or this time or that time, let's all relax. Take a deep breath. Let's see how these young guys perform down the stretch. Let's see what we got. I'm not saying we shouldn't be buyers, Nick. I'm not suggesting we don't go out and maybe get a piece or two here and there. But this stuff is getting out of hand. I try to take a couple days off of Twitter. I wanted to enjoy the break a little bit. I had a bunch of work stuff to do. So I really try to stay off Twitter a good amount. And I get on Twitter, and we're talking about crazy shit. We're talking about going out and trading like 3 or 4 We're trading Chase Petty for a 2-month rental. And then on top of that, we got people thinking we might get Shohei Ohtani. Like, slow down, man. Just take a break, brother. Let's relax. And again, I'm not trying to be the guy that says like, oh, we can't win. We can, but let's not act like the pretty girl that you see in the big farm town somehow now is just because she's one of the few pretty girls in the town is some Hollywood superstar model. Okay, let's see what we got first.
Yeah, this was all because of a very poor sports book. Not Bedford. Bedford Sportsbook would never do a thing like this, but another sports book decided to put out some stupid trading Chase Petty for 2 months of a pitcher.
Yeah,
that's probably not even as good as Ben Lively. No, I'm just kidding. But
That's disrespectful. You better take that back.
You use your head here. We acquired Chase Petty for 2 years of Sonny Gray, and we're going to give him back for 2 months of a rental? Like, this guy has a 1.53 ERA in high A right now. Like, he couldn't have performed any better after you've got him. Like, why would you give this guy away? Chase Petty's going to make his big league debut when Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McLain are, like, in the prime of their careers. Like, this is the guy you want to support the great lineup you're building. That one is nuts. I do not know why people want to give away players like Chase Petty. Should the Reds get pitching? Sure, but
it's the rental thing for me. It's the rental thing. Like, it's a rental thing, Nick. Like, listen, I could, like, I'm not a prospect hugger is a strong term. I'm not a prospect hugger. Okay. I'm not going to lose my mind if we trade some of these guys, especially if we realize we have depth at a certain position. And there's a point in time, Nick, where you do have to try to make sure that if you have holes, you can fill them. Sir Boy, thanks for the super chat. We'll get to that in a second. I guess this is what fans can do. I'm not suggesting that it's not fun to do. I don't find it fun. It seems like a waste of time. However, if that's your thing, go for it. We're just in a good spot right now. Why do we think that it's now or never? Like, this whole notion that it's now or never goes against and is the absolute principle as to why there are teams that don't have sustained success in this league. It is legitimately the exact reason as to why they don't. Now, one could make the argument, if you could make trade said pieces, Nick, and it gets you a World Series, sure, then it's worth losing 4 or 5 or 6 years for, maybe. But I don't know. Go ask Royal fans how they feel. They got a series. They won a World Series. They've been abysmal since. I know the Rays haven't won a World Series, but maybe I'm crazy. This is where I don't know if I truly believe this out of myself, but I kind of do. I think I'd rather be a Rays organization and be a Rays fan than to be a Royals fan, because I think eventually the Rays crack through. I think the Rays eventually are going to win the whole damn thing. It's a little bit of a crapshoot, in my opinion, of the playoffs. You get to the playoffs, anyone can win. So I don't fault the Rays for not winning the whole thing, but it's got to be much more enjoyable being a Rays fan than to be a Royals fan who wins a World Series and then legitimately for the next 10 years, you got nothing to do. You're worthless.
I don't know about that, because I think I would sell like my soul to win a World Series, but the Rays process is better than the Royals process. The Royals were fortunate that they had a year that they could win a World Series in that year. Whereas what the Rays did, like, if you look at this like from any analytical perspective and you run the numbers over the last 15 years, how many expected world championship would the Royals have won versus how many expected world championships would the Rays have won? I think really anyone can agree the Rays should have won more, right? So I don't know if I even really think that's an argument, just because I don't think that's the process is really there to win World Series, because you could have, look at the Dodgers. How many years were they the best team in baseball and they never won a World Series until 2020 in that short season? And they were far and above the best team in baseball. It wasn't even close. So it's all about getting chances. You need to get chances and chances and chances and chances.
Correct. That's the scary part about this whole situation that is Major League Baseball. It's incredibly hard to win the whole damn thing. It just is. You could have the best team, clear by far and away the best team, and not win it. So the idea of trying to, like, and again, the whole go all in thing maybe is a little overblown right now, but I'm just harping back to the idea that even if you do become, like, what can the Reds do? This is an honest question. I'm not saying I know the answer. I'm just asking as an open, honest question. What can the Reds do at the deadline that makes them so significantly better than what they are now, so significantly better that you think in your mind that you're ready to go toe-to-toe against the Braves, the Dodgers. Obviously, on the opposite side, to win a World Series, you're gonna have to beat a Rays, a Yankees. And now the Yankees obviously are struggling, but you get my point. Like there's nothing that this team can do at the deadline to where, according to our friends at Bread Fred Sportsbook, you're going to be the prohibitive favorite to probably win the whole thing. It's just not going to happen, Nick. It's not going to happen. You know what could happen? Is in a couple of years, these guys that we're just starting to see that are studs are the best players in Major League Baseball, and you legitimately have the best team in Major League Baseball. And at that point, Nick, that's when I'm okay with selling some of these guys. I'm okay with saying, okay, not that we like to talk in windows, but we got a good opportunity to win the whole damn thing the next 3 to 4 years. Maybe we don't need this, the 28th best prospect in baseball because he's going to be blocked by Matt McClain, or he's going to be blocked by Marte, or he's going to be blocked by Ellie De La Cruz, or whatever it may be. You get my point. So I think we're both somewhat on the same page here. I'm not a prospect hugger. I'm just a little bit of a realist. That's all.
I think we all would love for the Reds to spend more, but I think anyone rationally understands that the Reds' money runs out before teams like the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Yankees. So how, as an organization, can you close the gap between those teams? You need young, cheap, controllable players like Chase Petty. Chase Petty, when he comes up, think Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McClain, they're going to start hitting the arbitration by the time Chase Petty's getting in and getting his feet wet in the big leagues. They're going to start costing some money. You're expecting the Reds to probably sign a couple free agents. You need a pitcher that's coming in making the league minimum that could be as good as any pitcher you could go get on the free market, on the free agent market for a 1 or 2 year thing. I mean, if we're looking right now, we're saying, hey, the pitching's not good in this organization. Why would we want to get rid of a pitcher that's our
Exactly.
think he's our top pitching prospect? Like, why would we want to give him up right now?
Right.
We need him more than a lot of our other prospects. So, yeah.
Hey, listen, there's a long way to go in the season. I do want to bring up, I just seen it, and I mean, it's an excellent point. Chat's moving too fast. Mark said there's 70 games left, everyone. Take a deep breath. There is. And I think that's kind of that was the point I was trying to make here at the beginning of this little segment, is that there's still a little bit of time before the deadline. I know it's fastly approaching, but like let's just slow our takes down. Let's slow our roll down. And the good news is I don't think Nick Krall is surfing through Twitter looking for what the fans think are the best deals. So that's the good news. The bad news is that we got to sort through this for the next few weeks. It'll be interesting to see what the Reds do. I think they can make some moves that are probably beneficial for the long-term future of this team. We'll see if they do it. If they don't, that's fine. Whatever. We'll keep it moving. But again, the idea that I don't want to say it sounds ignorant. It just reminds me of the people that were screaming and yelling about the bullpen at the beginning of the year. It feels the same. It's like the same people that are screaming and yelling about the bullpen are the same types of people that are screaming and yelling about how this team needs to go out and sell whoever they need to sell to get starting pitching. It's not happening. Because you know why, Nick? I always remind you. My dad, I'm not saying he taught me a lot of great things, but he did say one thing to me one time that stuck with me for a long time. Forever, actually, because I still remember it. I used to always think that that like auctions were a really good deal. You could get a great deal. I'm like, you go to an auction, you can get a great deal. It's like, well, he told me, you know what, son? You think it's a good deal, but just remind yourself that you're the only person in the world that thought it was worth the most amount of money that it's going for, and you paid the most for it. So it's like, my point is that when you trade somebody, the other team thinks they're getting a better deal. That's the facts. The other team's actually thinking that they're getting a better return. So it's not like it's a one-way street here. Unless you're the Athletics, then you send Hall of Famers to Atlanta for nothing. But besides that, what else you got? You got some Reds MILB?
Yeah, before we get to that, Sir Boy, thank you for pointing out.
That's right.
Reds signed first-round pick Rhett Lauder, $5.7 million signing bonus. So,
yeah,
Reds got another good pitcher to add to the system, which is very good.
Sirboy also with the super
it.
chat for $2. Appreciate you, Superboy. Otani's son for Tyler Stevenson. We're not doing that. You're Sirboy, you are a Ty Steve stan. We can't get rid of him. All right, Reds MILB,
right.
Nick.
Yeah, we got some games that aren't even final yet. Bats are leading 14-8. Nelvi Marte 1 for 4. That Christian Encarnacion Strand character 3 for 4. He had 2 doubles. One of those doubles was over 105 off the bat. Jose Barrera 1 for 4. Stuart Fairchild just sitting down in AAA, still raking 3 for 4. Disappointing though. Levi Stout, not a great outing. His first start back from the break, allowed 4 runs and 4 innings pitched. Didn't strike out a single batter. So, guy we're hoping could be some depth for this team. Fortunately, just not having the year we were hoping to this point. AA Chattanooga, they are leading 12-5. Their game somehow is not over yet either. Not a whole lot of prospects left in that team at the moment. Julian Aguilar was promoted, though, to the lookout. So excited to see him when he makes his debut. Jose Torres was 2 for 4. He's one of the top prospects. Dayton, they lost 8-2 to Lake County. Edwin Arroyo 1 for 3. Jay Allen 1 for 4, stole a base. That was actually the first. He was the first batter of the game. Ruben Ibarra hit his 9th home run of the year, and then Hunter Parks talked with Thom Nichols, the guy that he's really excited about. Says that is the guy that scouts are asking the most about. Not a great outing though. 2 2/3 today. 4 earned runs. Did strike out 5 batters, and then the Daytona Tortugas Trace, they were rained out. So that's it. Not a whole lot going on. Just the Louisville Bats brought the lumber today.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes it rains. Tonight the Reds lost, and it rained in Daytona. I don't know, man. I feel okay. Everything's going to be all right. The world's not falling apart. The Reds are still in first place. Even if, can we take a step back and can we at least admit to ourselves that the chances of the Reds going wire to wire from the All-Star break to the end of the year being in first place is probably not going to happen, right? I mean, I hope it does. But just prepare yourself that this is going to be one hell of a ride. And that's probably the thing that I'm most excited for, is that I do think it's going to be a tight race. I don't think it's going to be a runaway, whether the Reds win it or even the Brewers win it. And just to stay safe, so I don't jinx it, if the Cubs make a run at it, maybe the Cardinals. I know everyone's laughing at me, but I'm not going to leave them out until they're dead. I'm not worried about the Pirates, so maybe when they come back and win, you'll know that jinxes are 100% real. So, I don't know, Nick. I get the frustration, but I'm not there yet. I'm okay. I feel all right in my life.
Trace, I feel good about tomorrow.
Why is that?
Andrew Abbott's on the hill for the mound. 7-10. That's a rare Saturday 7-10 start. Reds and Brewers. Andrew Abbott looking for a bounce back after his first poor professional outing. Last time out, 4 1/3 innings, 9 hits, 6 earned runs. Only walked 1 and did strike out 6 though. Abbott, 6 of his 11 runs allowed all year were in that last start. So, he's itching to get back out there. I think he's going to pitch well. Brewers are not a team that hits left-handed pitching well. So I think just one of those days, I think Abbott's going to bounce back and have a really good outing. Andrew Abbott, though, how about this, Trace? 1.83 ERA at Great American Ballpark this season. Going up against Freddie Peralta, he's got a 4.70 ERA this season. One thing I really like, he's got a 5.79 ERA over his last 10 starts. He's allowed at least 2 earned runs in each of his last 10 starts. Walked 11 batters in his last 4 starts. He has not faced the Reds, though, so far in 2023, but does have a really good track record against the Reds, 2.84 ERA in 3 starts last year, and then a career 3.34 ERA at Great American Ballpark.
All right, so here's the deal. I just want to tell you that I know I was gone for a while. I do appreciate the people that were very kind to me, sent me nice messages, and also was concerned that maybe I get kicked off the show. I could understand why sometimes, but no, I did not. We are going to have a little bit of a tricky situation, and I say tricky, it's really not that tricky. We're just going to kind of bounce around. Nick, I know, is going to be on the show tomorrow, I believe. I don't want to speak for him. He can kind of speak on this in a minute, but Nick's going to go to a few games, so we'll have, it won't be our traditional selves here until a little bit. But I do want to remind everyone before Nick says kind of what's going on. We do have Chatterbox Reds night I have to make sure that we have enough tickets left. I got to double check before I, say that we got like 20 tickets left and we only got 10. Next thing you know, I got 10 people that were supposed to have a ticket and don't. I want to say we have like 40 left. If you're watching this show on a loss, okay, right now at 10:24, I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up. All right? For the last 25, 30 tickets or whatever we have left, I am going to do this. I'm going to take off $10 tomorrow for how many ever runs the Reds win by. If they win by 10, we're going to have to figure it out. But if they win by 5, I'll take $50 off. But listen to me now. You're watching the show. I'm not going to tell everybody that until probably halfway through the show tomorrow, but I will make it live. I will get online. I will make that deal live as soon as the game ends. So if you're on the fence, you're borderline, root for the Reds tomorrow as if you weren't already, and hopefully the Reds win by a couple runs and you guys can get yourselves there. But it's only going to be a small handful of tickets. Not going to be much. If you want to now, to be safe, you can go on there and buy the tickets today and tonight, and obviously you'd pay full price for them, but at least you know you'll have one. I can't guarantee you're going to have one tomorrow. I really don't even know how many we have. But it's the River Deck Monday night. Looking forward to seeing everybody. And I do appreciate everybody that watches the show. You guys are very, very kind. And, I know it sounds cliche and cheesy and all that every single time we do it, but it means a lot that we have the following we have, and we have the quality of fans that we have. I think that we try to hold a reasonable, non-sensationalism, down-to-earth, true feeling show where we are who we are, we're being ourselves, and you guys hopefully appreciate that, and we appreciate you. So, Nick, you are going to Great American Ballpark this weekend, kind of, correct?
Yeah, so tomorrow, driving down to Cincinnati in the afternoon, but I'll be doing the show tomorrow night from lovely Papa Kirby's house. So you'll be stuck with me tomorrow. And then Sunday, I'll be at the game. Shay Neal will be joining Trace. And then, folks, we're all going to be at the stadium on Monday night. The Chatterbox Reds party's on. Clay Snowden has been gracious enough to try to run the show on Monday night with Shay as well. So the show will go on. So if you can't make it and you were worried about Monday night, hey, I'm not going to have a YouTube show, folks, we got you covered. Clay and Shay will get it done. And then I'll be back up in the studio on Tuesday, not planning going anywhere again anytime soon. And
right.
Beer every night for the rest of the second half.
I have some. Next week is a crazy week for us at Chatterbox, but I promise I have this intro I've been making. It's pretty nice. I think it's pretty sweet. I got to release it, but I want to make sure it's done right. So it's going to be. I promise you, I have to make a promise to the chat that if I don't have this, you guys are going to be on my tail by the, let's call it the 25th. Is that fair? 25th, Nick. Remind yourself of that. Put that in the chat. The 25th. If Trace doesn't have a new intro by the 25th, fire Trace.
Wow. Coming in hot.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Nick, the game sucked. I know someone was like, "Oh, the game was boring." I thought it sucked. The game was not fun as a Reds fan. Felt miserable.
Yeah, that was not what I was looking for. Tonight when I turned on the TV, I was hoping for a little better. But you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. Reds are in first place, 90-something, whatever we are into the season.
Yeah,
get them tomorrow, boys.
We'll try to go live from the River Deck, too. If the Reds win, we'll do our best. We'll see what we can do. No promises, but we'll do our best. I got a feeling that some of you are going to be very, very, very bad influences on me when I'm there. I'm going to try to make sure that I'm not, got to act somewhat appropriate. Okay? I see Rico. I see Sir Boy. Want me to shotgun beers off the River Deck. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we could do it down in one of the tunnels or something. We'll see how that goes. All right, Nick, we got to end this show somehow, man. How do you want to end it? Tell them where to do it, Nick. Go ahead. This is your outro. You do it.
Well, download, rate, review Chatterbox Reds. We've got a lot of people that have left 5-star reviews. So really appreciate everyone that's done that. That stuff really, really helps all the metrics and all that. And if you're looking for something to listen to, if you watched our show, did a really cool podcast. Really proud of what we did on Thursday. Every Reds minor league team was covered, 3 play-by-play announcers, and a nice writer from Chattanooga. So some really good insight into each of those teams. When you do those kind of shows, you kind of expect a lot of cookie cutter responses. And honestly, I didn't get any of them. So I thought there was a lot of really good info about those teams and some of those players. So be sure to check that out. Chatterbox Reds, available everywhere you get podcasts.
All right. So this is where we do the final outro of the show. Many of you know that I was gone for a while. Nick doesn't know this, but I hope that many of you that watch this show know how much effort, energy, time, commitment, love, passion that Nick puts into the show. I hope you know that. It is a honor to do this show with you, Nick. I hope you take that with all the meaning that I mean it behind. I mean that sincerely. You do an unbelievable job. The show would be nothing without you. I think that you had an opportunity to take 4 or 5 days off right there in a row. You said, you know what, we have too much positive momentum. I think people are craving Reds content. You went out of your way. You did the best you could. If you're not, go listen to all the podcasts. Go listen to the podcasts. They're great. Nick does an excellent job. So thank you, Nick, for everything you do for this show. But most importantly, we'll see you tomorrow. Go Reds. The world is not falling apart, baby. We'll be back.